My name is Sarah Parker. I'm 42 years old, and on March 15th, 2024, I died for 29 minutes when our Boeing 737 crashed into the mountains of Colorado. I used to think Elon Musk and NASA were heroes trying to save humanity by getting us to Mars. But what Jesus revealed to me about the real reason humanity is obsessed with leaving Earth will shock you to your core. I live in Denver with my husband Mike, who's an engineer at Boeing, and our 14-year-old daughter Emma, who dreams of becoming an astronaut. Our house looked like a space museum: NASA posters, SpaceX models, books about Mars colonization covering every surface. Every night, Mike would point out constellations to Emma and say, "Someday we'll visit those stars." I believed it too. I thought space programs were humanity's future, that we were running out of resources on Earth and needed alternative planets to survive. That morning, I boarded a flight to Los Angeles for a business presentation. I was selling materials for Mars colonization projects. Ironic, right? I was literally marketing technologies to make life possible in space because I believed it was humanity's greatest hope. 2 hours after takeoff, the pilot's voice crackled over the intercom in panic. "We're making an emergency landing. Everyone brace for impact." Engine failure. We were gliding toward the Rocky Mountains. People around me were screaming, crying. I called Mike and told him I loved him and that he should tell Emma not to become an astronaut because it was too dangerous. Strange how in my final moments, I wanted her to give up her space dreams. The impact was horrific. I heard metal crushing, glass shattering, then everything went black. But then I was floating above the wreckage, watching rescue teams work. I watched them pull out my broken body, Sarah Parker, and I felt nothing but profound peace. I was standing in what seemed like an infinite field, surrounded by billions of stars. But these weren't ordinary stars. Each one was alive, breathing, radiating light like living beings. And that's when I realized this was real space. Not the empty void that rockets try to reach, but the actual spiritual dimension that every human soul is desperately seeking. But what I saw walking toward me changed everything. Jesus was approaching, and the moment I recognized him, my heart stopped. Well, it was already stopped. His eyes were filled with infinite love, but also deep sadness that made me want to cry. He said my name, and I realized his voice wasn't just sound. It was pure love itself. He welcomed me and said he had something very important to show me. Something that would shatter every belief I had about humanity's future in space. I asked where we were, beginning to realize the stars around us were actually angels. Jesus told me this was real space, what humanity was searching for, but they were looking in the wrong direction. And then he showed me something that made my blood run cold. Suddenly, the scene changed. We were looking down at Earth, but I could see not just the physical planet, but its spiritual atmosphere. There was a thick, dark cloud surrounding the entire globe. And what Jesus pointed out to me about those rockets, about SpaceX, about NASA, it was nothing like what I expected. He showed me rockets launching from Cape Canaveral and explained that humans thought these were salvation, but they were actually the ultimate escape fantasy. But that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was what was behind them. He showed me SpaceX headquarters. Elon Musk was giving a presentation, but I could see dark shadows surrounding him, entities that weren't human. Jesus explained that Elon meant well, but he couldn't see the true agenda of the forces guiding him, forces that had a terrifying plan for humanity. Jesus continued explaining that these dark entities were trying to convince humans to escape from the Earth he created for them. Because here, on this soil, in nature, they could form real connections with him. But in space, he paused. And what he showed me next was the most horrifying vision of my entire existence. I saw a vision of a Mars colony, and it wasn't the utopia that SpaceX promises. People were living in metal domes, but their eyes looked empty, lifeless. Children had never seen natural sunlight. They had no contact with soil. And worst of all, no one was praying there. It was as if they couldn't hear Jesus' voice at all. But this was just the beginning of what Jesus revealed about space. Jesus explained that space was an environment that blocked him completely. They couldn't access the natural frequencies he created there. His angels couldn't operate there. That's why the enemy was trying to draw them there, to cut them off from God forever. And then he showed me the rooms where this plan was being orchestrated. I saw NASA's secret meeting rooms. It wasn't just scientists present. The same dark entities surrounded them, whispering lies that they should go to Mars because Earth was doomed and they needed to escape. But that wasn't even the worst part. Jesus explained that Earth wasn't doomed. He was renewing it. But if humans pinned their hope on space, they would miss his real plan. And then he showed me what was really happening to the billionaires. I saw Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin, Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic. The same dark whispers surrounded them all, telling them to escape Earth because there was no future here. But there was something else, a deeper deception that even these men didn't understand. Jesus turned to me and revealed the truth that will shake you to your core. He explained that this space obsession was distracting humans from their real mission. Instead of healing Earth, loving each other, building real relationships with him, they were spending billions on impossible dreams that would ultimately damn their souls. But what he showed me about Elon Musk specifically, this will change how you see everything. I saw Elon Musk's private moments, the scenes that no camera ever captures. At night, alone, he would imagine Earth's destruction. Fear was driving him, not vision. Fear was making him spend billions trying to escape to Mars. I asked if we could save him. Jesus explained that if enough people prayed for him, yes, they could. But most people either demonized him or worshipped him. Both were wrong. He was just a frightened man being manipulated by forces he couldn't see. But then Jesus showed me something that made me understand the true scope of this deception. I saw the most shocking vision. Astronauts living on the space station were struggling with severe depression. Looking at Earth made them homesick in ways that went beyond psychology. But the media was hiding this. What they called space sickness wasn't just physical. It was spiritual separation sickness. Jesus explained that when space tourism began, the wealthy would experience this emptiness and feel the void. Because the peace they were seeking wasn't in space, it was in him. But there was something worse coming. I saw the future condition of the first Mars colonists, and it was nothing like the paradise Elon Musk promises. Children who had never played in soil, never seen a real sky. They were spiritually disconnected. They couldn't hear Jesus' voice because they had no access to the natural frequencies he created. And then Jesus revealed the ultimate goal of this deception. He explained that the worst part was that people were placing their hope in the wrong place. They said they would make a fresh start on Mars. But a fresh start was possible with him here. It was possible now. Mars was a trap, not a solution. I thought about Emma and mentioned that my daughter wanted to be an astronaut. What Jesus told me about her future will break your heart. Jesus smiled and explained that Emma's heart was pure. If she truly pursued space, he would show her her real calling. Maybe teaching children about nature on Earth, maybe cleaning the oceans, creating miracles here, not in space. Because the real frontier wasn't out there. It was in the human heart. I asked about my husband Mike, mentioning that he worked at Boeing. And what Jesus revealed about the aerospace industry will shock you. Jesus explained that Mike's hands created space technology, but his heart was still in him. He could help him use those technologies to solve problems on Earth instead of escape from Earth. But most engineers never realized they were building humanity's spiritual prison. Then Jesus showed me the vision that changed everything. What Earth could become if we stopped trying to leave it. Jesus showed me another future scene that took my breath away. Earth had amazing technological developments, but they were being used here, not in space. Systems that turned deserts green, technologies that cleaned oceans, devices that healed diseases. He explained that if all the space budgets were invested in Earth, this place could become paradise. But instead, humanity was throwing away trillions trying to escape to a dead rock. And then Jesus gave me the mission that brought me back to life. Jesus told me he was giving me a mission that would save souls. He wanted me to tell people that the final frontier they were seeking wasn't in space. It was in him. Eternity wasn't in space. It was in their hearts. The new world wasn't on Mars. It was here when he returned. I protested that no one would believe me. How could I convince people that Elon Musk was wrong, that NASA was deceived, that space travel was spiritual deception? He assured me that some would believe, and that was enough. He wasn't telling them to oppose space programs, just to fix their priorities. First relationships with him, then technology. First heal Earth, then think about other planets. I didn't want to go back. Being with him was so peaceful, so perfect. I begged to stay there forever. He explained that Emma needed me, Mike needed me, and there were millions of people on Earth who needed to hear this message before it was too late. Suddenly, I felt myself being pulled back again, away from the real space, away from Jesus' presence. He called out that I should remember that real exploration was inward, not outward. And then came the shock of returning to a broken body. When I opened my eyes in the hospital, 29 minutes had passed. Doctors were calling it a miracle. My brain should have been dead. My organs should have failed. But I was alive with a message that could save humanity from the greatest deception of our time. Mike was crying, Emma was holding my hand, and then Emma said something that proved Jesus had touched her too. Emma told me she had had a dream where someone told her that instead of becoming an astronaut, she should teach children about the stars from Earth. In that moment, I realized Jesus had reached her even while I was dead. It's been 6 months now, and everything has changed. Mike still works at Boeing, but now he's focused on adapting space technologies for environmental problems on Earth. Emma is planning to become an astrophysics teacher instead of an astronaut. And me? I tell people every chance I get, the real final frontier is inside us, in Jesus. But here's what I need you to understand before it's too late. I'm not condemning space programs, I'm just saying the priorities are completely wrong. While billionaires spend billions trying to escape Earth, children are hungry, oceans are polluted, hearts are empty. While we're looking up at Mars, we're missing the miracles Jesus wants to do right here. Jesus had told me that instead of seeking him in space, if they sought him in their hearts, they would find him there. The peace Elon Musk is looking for on Mars? It's in Jesus. The new beginning Jeff Bezos wants in space? It's in surrender to Christ. The exploration Richard Branson craves? It's in the depths of God's love. So I'm calling out to you and I'm begging you to listen. It's beautiful to look up at the stars, but first open your heart and look to Jesus. He is real eternity. He is real exploration. He is the final frontier that every human soul is desperately seeking. Don't let them convince you that Earth is doomed. Don't let them sell you on the lie that space is salvation. The God who created the universe wants to meet you right here, right now, in the planet He made for you. My name is Sarah Parker. I died for 29 minutes, crashed into a mountain, and Jesus sent me back to tell you the truth about space programs. The real space, the space that matters, is the space in your heart that only Jesus can fill. And that space is available to you right now. You don't need a rocket ship. You just need to pray.